Back for another edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Jonathan Howe alongside Travis Cunningham on episode 76, second one of the new year here, and the post Chili Bowl episode, Travis. But I guess first we have to go over the number 76. Who you got?
Real good dirt late model driver, swept the Eldora Big Money shows a couple of years ago. Brandon Overton.
Nice, good pick. I'm going Jamie Googe. Thanks for the assist on that one because it was driving me nuts. I was like, I'm sure there's a 76 I've watched and seen, but I couldn't figure out who it was. But
Travis Braun is a local one as well, but he doesn't race no more. But he raced Street Stock, Sportsman, and Mod with the 76. And then, yeah, I thought other ones.
Another one of those vacant ones. If anybody's going to join and race in the not too distant future, you can make your own legacy or make a current legacy with that
these
number.
days, yeah.
So we got to start with the Chili Bowl, won by Logan Seavey. I thought it was a pretty decent race overall. I mean, I get the criticisms of the racetrack, but I think that's kind of one of those things where you have that many races on one day of the track. It doesn't matter how much track prep you do, you're going to end up with issues. But Logan Seavey gets the win over Michael Kofoid and Corey Day. So what did you think of the race and Logan Seavey having one heck of a year?
Yeah, Seavey definitely, he was the favorite going in, so definitely not a shock to see him pull it off again. Fourth, we got to mention him, Dason Pursley, as well, because he did a wicked soup run. I love watching soup runs all day on Saturday, but my favorite ones are where the guy ends up in the A, and he went D to C to B to A, and then fourth in the A. And if it wasn't for the rubber, he probably would have won. Although he said if they would have done a full rework, he wouldn't have got that far up because the first 30 laps would have been a dyno session like it usually is, where you're just wide open the whole time around the bottom. But the Chili Bowl was amazing this year for me. Every qualifying night, the track was awesome, like big curb, bottom, the way Chili Bowl is supposed to be. And then, just too many laps on Saturday. That's basically what it comes down to. And you've got two choices. You either do a huge rework and, like I say, have the first 30 laps or 25 laps be a dyno session around the bottom, just wide open, and then wait for it to move out, wide out. Or you do what they did on Saturday, and eventually the rubber is going to show up. Now, I saw people saying on Twitter how like they use the sweeper on the bottom instead of digging it up. And maybe next year they could just maybe dig it up a bit more than they did. And the last B main I knew, because like the first B main, all the races on Saturday were amazing as well. All the first B main was amazing all the way up to there. And then the second B main, it went from the outside to the inside. And I was like, uh-oh. And then they did the rework. I was hoping it was going to last a little longer. But yeah, it locked down pretty early, like about lap 25-ish. Is when it took rubber, and then it was just a pavement race after that. But you're gonna have that, and people focus on the lap. You got to remember how awesome the rest of the week was.
Yeah, it really was a good week for it. I mean, I was able to keep track of a lot of it on YouTube and ahead of time before the main stuff on the weekend, and everything that I saw, I really enjoyed. I thought it was really good racing, and I kind of agree. I kind of wonder about digging up the inside. Do you think that would affect like the berm? Like, yeah, I feel like you'd have to be almost kind of delicate about how you dig up the bottom side of the racetrack and getting right down to.
Well, you just gotta use one of those. I don't know what all the farmers' equipment's called, but
yeah, kind of like it's like a grater, but not really. It's like a rotating grater or something,
like a tiller.
Yeah, like a tiller. That
tiller.
Exactly
that's what it is.
I think so. I think you're right.
But you just avoid that inside berm. You just roll the flat part.
Yeah, and then I think
they'll try something different next year. They'll get it dialed in.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they should shorten the laps, like on Larson's list. We're going to get to that, but he says get rid of the races on a lot of the races on Saturday, which is the ultimate, probably the best plan.
We'll get to Kyle Larson's fix of how you fix the Chili Bowl. I mean, first though, I wanted to talk about one of the greatest years in greatest calendar years in dirt racing as of late, especially midget racing. We got Logan Seavey winning the 2023.
For anyone not named Kyle Larson.
Yeah, right. The 2023 Chili Bowl, Indiana Midget Week, USAC Midget Championship, the USAC Four Crown Nationals sweep, the USAC Silver Crown Championship, and then he follows it up with the 2024 Chili Bowl. I mean, I think if we were talking about Logan Seavey, driver of the number 500cars.com, Chevrolet doing all that, I think it would be a lot bigger deal, and we'd probably be making more noise about it. Or at least the general motorsports world would be. But I think this is something, an accomplishment in a year that we really need to recognize more in the dirt community and really celebrate what Logan Seavey is doing right now in the sport.
I totally agree. I want to see him in a Wing 410 car. That's where all the big money is. Although you get a lot of money winning all the stuff he does, but
And I
I'd
mean,
love
the
to see him.
opportunity's got to be there, like especially if you're somebody
Yeah,
who's trying to put an entry together. I mean, that with the
because
amount of guys dropping off the World of Outlaws, like if I'm a team owner, like why not take a chance
now's the
now,
time.
right?
Yep.
Now's the
Or
chance.
even Swindell. They got their car as well. I think they should just let him start driving it a bit.
Yeah, it'd be
I think
interesting
they
to
did
see.
let him drive it at the end of last year. But yeah, awesome season. I think you're right. It's definitely flying under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, I think that definitely deserves a shout out. Speaking of shout outs, we should probably shout out some of the Canadian content in the Chili Bowl, going through the soup. We had where was he now? I believe in F2.
Styres was in one of the Fs, and he
Yeah,
didn't transfer.
he
But
was in
to be in
F.
an F, you have to just miss your A main on your qualifying night, and that's what he did. I think he was fifth or sixth in his B main,
Yeah,
one or two out on the so. Yeah, not too bad. He wasn't buried. Definitely didn't have to get up early.
no, exactly right. So he ended up finishing 12th. Started sixth, but unfortunately dropped back through the field in that F and then finished 12th. Got passed by Sam Haferteep Jr., who we've seen a bunch up here, but he also did not make the top 5 transfer position
The
in the
chances
F.
those two getting in the same race is funny.
Yeah, right. That's kind of how does that work out, right? Um,
Mhm.
but I did want to shout out Robbie Price making a little bit of a run through it. He had moved up from his F main into the E main, where his Chili Bowl dreams stopped at an 11th place finish. The Cobble Hill, BC driver in the E feature
He's a
two.
wheelman.
Yeah,
I like Robbie Price.
one heck of a wheelman at that. So
BC boy.
kind of wraps up all things Chili Bowl in terms
Oh
of the
no! Wait,
actual
I did think of
racing.
something we didn't talk about.
Okay, okay,
We
okay.
didn't talk about the slide job with the Timez drama. That was a
Oh
pretty big
yes,
deal.
walk us through this.
So basically, Cannon McIntosh, he has won Monday night a bunch, and this year he didn't win Monday night. He was in a B main, and he fell back early, and it was coming down to the last lap. Timez, Thomas Meserol, who was in a new car, driving for Tim Engler and a new Ford experimental engine that we were playing with last year. Now he's just driving for Tim straight out. But anyway, Timez was in a transfer spot coming to the checkers, and him and McIntosh have been going at each other all season, chirping each other on the mic. And McIntosh threw a slider on him, and Timez ended up upside down. And then he ended up getting kicked out of the building because when he was upside down, they sprayed him with the fire, and he threw the steering wheel, and it was a huge drama fest. And but like for a guy like Timez, when you say slide or die nonstop, and that's your motto, like and then you're racing with a guy that like you've had it out with you got to kind of expect dirty stuff coming. But then even Timez in his interview, like he didn't know his last lap. He had to ask who he was racing with, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it just shows how the Chili Bowl. I've never raced on a little track like that, but it must be insane the way just got to focus on your driving even more so than normal, and you don't even notice who's around you or what lap it is.
Yeah, the awareness,
Timez didn't
right?
notice.
The
Yep.
awareness is what makes these guys so good, especially in midget racing and such a small track. Like you have to be. I know I've heard a couple drivers talk about, or heard them say they talk about. They think about glancing up at the scoreboard or the not the scoreboard, but the video board and watching who's behind them and kind of using that as their line, which is kind of one of the things that Kyle Larson mentioned in terms of some of the changes that he would like to see to the Chili Bowl. Do you want to jump into this list?
Yeah, because they started checking all the radios and they were doing the smartwatch check and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and yeah,
Yeah,
getting
that was
pretty
one of the things
excessive.
that Larson noted on his
Yeah.
2024
So
Chili Bowl
Larson's
thoughts.
list.
He said radio checks were unnecessary, but appreciate the thought. Nobody has a spotter. Leaders use the big screen or have people using signal sticks. Um, the another thing he said was the harder tire was a very small gain, not a big deal, not as big a deal as the media tries to make it, but it's still a gain overall. Had no bearing on the quality of the track being good on prelims or taking rubber in the finale. Is that something you agree with?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like if it's a small gain, like, can you keep going with an even harder tire? Like, is that something you can
I
step
think the
up?
harder tire made like the berm all week. Like there was
Yeah.
still a berm, it was faster to go around in the rubber.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that he kind of noted, I'm just going over the things that he didn't give a thumbs up to. If you want to see the full list, you can see it at Kyle's Twitter feed or pretty much all social media. I think he put it up on, but at Kyle Larson. Um, So he talked about track prep crew is in a lose-lose for the Saturday finale. Do heavy
I've already
rework and
said
have
that.
fans
I
complain
copied
about
him.
first 25 being hammered down or last 25 being rubbered in. And I agree with that too. Like I remember complaining last year about the fact that I was staying up as late as it did because I think Checker Flag
Ooh.
waved at like 2:40 our time last year or something stupid like
Yeah,
that.
that's the one thing we didn't say is how they did get her done early this year because there was
Yeah,
snow coming and stuff. And that was amazing. Like, I didn't have to wake up the next day and not look at my phone to rewatch the D's, C's, B's, and A's
yeah,
like I usually do. I got to watch it all and then switch to watch the last episode of The Last of Us. So, like, I had a whole bunch of time left after the race as well. So that was great.
yeah, and that's ideal. That's what you want. I think like there's a lot of talk about making the Chili Bowl a bigger event. Well, that's one of the ways you're going to make it a bigger event. Make sure it ends at a time that's reasonable that younger fans are going to be up and still watching it. So I'd say good on them that this year, and I agree with Larson. It is a lose lose. Like we've even seen that locally where sometimes you might want a little bit of track prep maybe at the halfway point or at the intermission point of a night, and sometimes
Ooh.
they end up doing that and then it ends up extending the night and you're like
For me, track prep on a normal Saturday night, like, to me, is a no no. You should have it ready to rock. Like, sometimes there's obstacles you can't, but
mhm.
I'm saying at least 85% of the time, you better have that thing ready to rock, and it should form in through the night. And that's how you keep fans coming. No one wants to watch water trucks and Packers. Nobody.
Exactly. I 100% agree with that as well. One of the things that I wanted to bring up from the list because I kind of agree with this is you need to figure out how to restructure the week to have a lot less laps on track on Saturday so they can prep the track similar to prelim night. And I
I
agree with that.
thousand, per- I 1,000% agree with that because it would load up the qualifying nights more. They're a little like there's a lot of top guys like they purposely spread themselves out to try to gain their own advantage into the A main. But so if
Mhm.
you were to take away a qualifying night and make that Friday all the early mains and then jam all those guys from Friday into the other mains, to me, it's just going to make the quality of the other nights better.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's a better, more compact show if you're doing like
But the
imagine.
guys aren't going to like it because they're going to have a harder time getting in because it's going to be easier to get messed up in your heat. But
Yeah,
so
that's
like
true.
the hitters aren't going to like it, like the rock stars. But the fans would love it.
Well, and I think from viewing from home, I think like just having a chunk of time where you're just watching like the F through A, maybe G through A, you could do in one broadcast, right? And
Yeah,
then
that's
you do
good.
P
I
and
like it.
H on Friday night. I think that's pretty reasonable, like a good way to split it. Obviously, the amount of drivers that
Something
show up
like
is going to
that.
dictate how many rounds and how many heats you're going to actually need in terms of
Well,
the
then all the
alphabet soup.
people you wouldn't have to stay till Saturday. All the people that have to get up early Saturday morning, those people will be on Friday now. So all those people could get away a day earlier.
And the other thing too is it almost adds into building a storyline. Can you imagine if somebody goes, say there's a P, so imagine somebody goes, I don't know, M to G, and they make it from Friday night to Saturday night. Don't you think every reporter that's down there covering it is going to be running a
Yeah,
story
obviously.
Friday night into
Yep.
Saturday, which is just going to boost the amount of eyeballs, the amount of attention, the amount of like,
Yeah, I
oh,
personally think they
storylines for
have to do
Saturday?
it.
Yeah,
Like they have to do this.
I think it has to be
But
done
we'll see
too.
if they do.
Yeah.
We got
Um,
to talk about just the fact that Larson raced.
Yeah, we should talk about just the fact that he showed up on the Thursday night last minute. Didn't this kind of feel like a fool's errand the whole time? Like, even if he made it to the A, I don't like, even if he qualified in and locked himself in, I don't think he was going to make it back for the race, anyways.
Well, he would have. They would have delayed the program, and then we would have been staying up till 2 a.m. and flow. People would have worked with the two. It was all flow, right? The late model, they're both on flow. So they
Yeah.
would have worked together with they would have made it happen, but we would have had to stay up later. So, me personally, I liked that he didn't make it. So then we could get the feature in earlier on Saturday. But what I liked about his thing, so like me personally, I think he just ran the race because like for like the week leading up to it, I saw a couple things like I won't say making fun of him, but just pointing out how the fact like when he won his first Chili Bowl, he was on the stage like borderline crying, saying, "I'm sorry NASCAR, but this is the biggest effing race I've ever won." Blah. And then literally 2 years later, it's "F that, not going, pay
Yeah.
more."
Yeah,
Like he went from
exactly.
that to that in 2 years. So now they did raise the person. He showed up, and I just liked seeing, like, I'm a big Kyle Larson fan. Love watching him in NASCAR. Watching him since he was 16. I've said this before, but I like watching him lose on dirt now. And I just love the fact that the racing gods, like, he is not immune from them. Like, oh, you want to say the Chili Bowl? Go skip last year? You think you're just going to roll in on Thursday and qualify top two? Guess what? No, you flipped twice instead. So the racing god said, no, we didn't really like what you have going on lately. Maybe you should be quiet just a little bit. Because he's starting to say a lot of things. All his Chili Bowl stuff was good, but there's some things he said that I don't agree with. I can't remember some of them, but he's definitely, yeah.
I kind of agree with the idea that I kind of liked watching him struggle. I think it would have been a slap in the face to the competition if Larson, who hadn't practiced all week, hadn't been in a midget since I don't know when his last midget race would have been. I haven't seen his full schedule lately or been paying attention. I know
Oh,
he's
end of the
working
year,
hard
he was
on
running
late
that
models.
turkey night thing, I
Yeah,
think.
right. So, it's been a hot minute. He's in these late
Couple months.
models. I think it would be a slap in the face to his competition if he just showed up and beat everybody. But for him to be humbled like that, I almost think it sets up next year a great chance to come back and have a heck of a return story and make a potential win next year that much sweeter if he can
Next year,
put it
if he
together.
does it, he'll just be smart enough to bring his own car. Because
Yes.
he's never won in a Coons car. Both
Mhm.
of his wins were in his own car with his Paul Silva boy on the ranches. So
Yeah.
it was definitely a different car. But it was in the heat race. Like, he was going nowhere. Like, nowhere. He just looked
Yeah.
like another guy out there.
Yeah, he really
In a Keith
did.
Coons car. It was wild.
Yeah, the only one who was like in terms of like big names from other factions that I would say made a big impact is I thought Chase Briscoe had a pretty nice run.
He did.
Yeah.
I was
He
pumped for him.
he
Threw the anchor out in the feature, but
yeah, didn't really have a great A main, but he advanced from his B, I believe, right? I think he had to start in a
yeah.
B. So,
People don't forget how badass of a dirt driver Chase Briscoe's dad was. So
yeah, that is true. Yeah, the guy knows his way around a dirt race for sure. So, where did he end up? Yeah, like you said, he DNF'd, so ended up 21st after starting 19th, but um yeah, ultimately a pretty memorable Chili Bowl, I think, and a pretty historic win for Logan Seavey. I liked that. So I think
Kevin
that
Swindell.
covers everything from the Chili Bowl. You want to move on to, we just mentioned Kyle Larson. We got some high limit racing news we should probably jump into. What do you want to start first? You want to start with the format, I guess?
Sure, I've never heard it, so Jonathan's going to read it to me, and I'm going to give you my reaction. I've literally not read it at all.
Okay, so I'm going to try to do this in a succinct way without
I'm
reading
going to
the
guess it's
entire.
pretty close to the old All-Star format, but
Um.
we're going to about to see. Read it.
Okay, so everything from the A main. Okay, here we go. So it's going to be, just like you say, similar to the 2023 All-Star Circuit of Champions format. Um, the heats will see the winner and fastest transfer go to the dash. The twist comes if the fastest qualifier wins the heat race from fourth, they'll be guaranteed the best available dash starting spot, and the next position car will go to the redraw. For example, if QuickTime wins heat number 1 from fourth, he'll automatically be on the pole of the dash with the one pill removed from the draw for others. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so everything from the A main after the dash to B main and beyond will be lined straight up by the heat race finishes. Front row of the B main is reserved for the two fastest non-transfers from the heats. That checks. I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Once they reach 32 cars on a given race night, the field will be seated into groups A and B, drawn for which group qualifies first to conduct split qualifying for 4 heat races.
Yeah, I
Uh,
love it. I already love it.
I'm glad you're happy with it. In the event of a standard 2-day show without a designated special format already in place, the top 3 or 4 finishers from the prelim will be locked in of sorts to the finale. Exact number depends on car count. Those drivers are considered the top qualifiers of the second night, but get to skip qualifying automatically lined up in heat races in those positions with all other cars behind them in qualifying order. The standard format takes over from there.
Love it.
All right. And now let's jump into this is the points system. So as for the point system, only A main events will award championship points for both the overall title and the midweek money series, creating an emphasis on finishing at the front. Every podium spot will receive an extra point the better they finish. The full point structure is listed below in the press release. So they've got it pretty figured out in terms of how many cars are going to be in each, like less than 20, 21 to 31. But it looks like 77 points for an A main win, 72 for second, 68 down to 65, 63, 61, 59, and so on and so forth by twos all the way down to looks like the rest of the field. No. 31 points, 21. Yeah, no, it all just goes down by two basically after
Yeah, that's kind of standard.
fifth place or fourth place. So yeah, I like the format. Everything seems fine. Nothing jumps out to me that's overly different. Like I say, it is based around the All Stars previous format. So
Which I wish we would adopt something like that around here, like group time trials or in your hot lap, like timed hot laps in your group for your heat,
mm-hmm.
and then invert the top 4, and then fastest transfer, fastest transfer, and the heat winner go to the dash.
Yeah, I like that.
And if fourth place wins the heat, only he goes to the. Well, it would be a redraw for us.
And just to clarify, when you say fastest transfer, is it your
Like
fast time in qualifying or fastest turned lap during the heat race?
No, fastest lap in qualifying, who transfers. So say your
Exactly.
quickest time in the heat doesn't qualify, the next guy would be in.
Yeah. Yeah, which is possible because you could start fourth and then lose sixth, fall back to sixth, for example.
I think it's
and then,
just straightforward and easy. And
yeah, I like that. I like that too because I like rewarding the fastest cars on the night. Like, I sometimes think in racing, especially in North American oval racing, I feel like there's not enough emphasis on being fast in qualifying and time trials. Like, don't forget, this whole sport started on being faster than anybody else, and the stopwatch never lies. So I like when we put a little emphasis on that sort of thing.
I just like timed hot laps or time trials, just because it gives you a little bit of control in your night.
Yes.
If you're starting at the back, you deserve it because you're slow.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. It's made a difference in some of the nights that I've seen you run and some of the other sprint car events that I've been to. So something else about the high limits that we should talk about is the Durst dice roll is back. And there's an added element for the fans. So each race night, one lucky fan chosen from the pre-sale tickets. So you got to buy a ticket ahead of time if you want to be involved in this. Will be chosen to roll the Durst dice prior to the A main. The number rolled will connect the fan with the driver in that starting position. If that driver wins the race, he or she and the fan will split the Durst dice roll bonus. For example, if a fan rolls a 9, the driver starting 9th wins. He or she and the fan will split $9,000.
I love it. It reminds me of that Winston Million or whatever it used to be, Noble 5.
Yes.
Where a fan would win if Earnhardt or Jeff Gordon. And I believe both of those guys did win for their fan.
Yeah, I think so. I do remember that too.
Yeah.
So
that was cool stuff.
I like that. And I think it's another way to bond with a driver. Like, there's already this emphasis on the money being it. And, I remember my dad liking Bill Elliott in NASCAR back in the day because he was $1 Million Bill. He was the guy who's always winning the cash, right? I think if you're a fan and you've got somebody you can pull for, because I think that's the other thing too about racing in general, but especially in dirt racing right now, is you go to the track, you don't necessarily have a favorite driver. Sometimes you just go to watch a race and you're just rooting for a good race, but something like that can really draw you in. Or even if you're watching at home, you're like, you know what, I really hope Susie's driver gets that money for her. She seems like a nice person. She seems like she could use it. Or Mike, who rolled the dice. I hope he seems like a good guy. I want to see whoever it is win for him tonight.
I love it.
So I like that fan involvement. I think this is a really good twist on it and freshens up the dice thing, because we know how they did it last year was not working.
Are you not old enough to know that Jeff Gordon did the $1 Million Man thing too in the very last year they ever did it?
Yes,
I remember.
Because
you gave it to Bill. You didn't mention him. You just gave it all to Bill.
Because they didn't call him $1 Million Jeff. They called him $1 Million
Jeff did
Bill.
it. I know, at least could have called. He did the exact same thing Bill Elliott did back when they had that, whatever they would call it, the quad crown, triple crown, or whatever.
Which
then Jeff won it, and then they started doing the No Bull 5, where they would do the 5 drivers with the fans.
I'm still in favor of coming back, man. I think if you win 3 out of 4 crown jewels, you're good to go. I think you get a big paycheck for that.
I think you should, yeah.
Especially now that they got the Brickyard back. You know what I said?
Brickyard.
I got crazy one day and I said that if you win a crown jewel, you should automatically be in the championship race.
That's way too crazy. I hate the playoffs as it is.
If you're gonna have it, let's get ridiculous,
If
right?
you're gonna, I'm sure I'll give you that. Oh, we got to talk about SRX closing.
Yes, the SRX.
Like just folding up shop.
Well,
what?
It's not a full
It's only
fold.
It blows me away to the fact that they were trying to get Glenn's money like literally weeks ago. Like they went from that to folding. Wild.
Well, you don't have the sponsorship behind you, right? Like I don't think Camping World's involved the same way they were prior. Plus, Paul Tracy, I'm sure, ran up the bills for them. So with all this stuff he broke
I listened to Paul Tracy on the Gary Kloot podcast, and he was saying like how the first year they were hyping up like that WWF on wheels kind of thing, and they were wanting you to wreck people, and then like last year they were like the other way. No, we can't do this. No, you guys can't be wrecking. You got, and that's why he said the first year was all like Saturday Night Ringers and stuff, and like older guys, and like last year they were bringing in like cup regulars to like fill in.
Yeah.
Right. And it turned really like into a race instead of, it was a show, the first part. I knew it was. It always was Harlem Globetrotters on wheels. That's why I hated it. And I'm glad it folded. Glad it didn't come here. Glad it folded. Sorry.
Yeah. If you didn't see, the SRX announced they are postponing their 2024 season. So they didn't officially.
That's a good way to put it. Just like California Speedway's building a half mile. Yeah, okay. Or Auto Club. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll see them back. Yeah, I doubt it.
Don't do
Tony's
that
drag racing. He doesn't care about that stuff anymore.
Do that
like zero care. I'm sorry.
Don't bring Auto Club into this.
I know it's best tracks now.
Too much.
Well, it's true. That's basically what it's going to be like. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I look at the pictures and I'm like, I don't see how they're making a half mile out of that right now. But you never know.
I don't want them to. It's never going to be as good as the 2 miler with the worn out pavement. So
that was the best track for anything. Like other than the fact that it unfortunately led to the passing of Greg Moore. I would say that that's one of the greatest ovals to ever exist in any series.
It's up there.
Right? NASCAR was great there. IndyCar's races were insane there.
Literally insane.
Yeah. But anyways, yes, SRX, no more for now.
Postponed.
Although I will mention that Ray Evernham was initially involved in SRX.
Bring back IROC.
He's bringing back IROC. Now, could you put an IROC? Like, I don't even know what you would do. What do you do with IROC? Like, you can't put
I would
an
do
IROC
it just like
dirt.
they used to. No, I would do it just like they used to. Run the cup tracks and have your NASCAR champion, Xfinity, trucks, IndyCar. See if the F1 guy wants to come. Drag racers. Steve Kinzer won an IROC race back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Still remember screaming my head off for that one.
And I say make them Trans Am cars.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Literally, the way they used to do it would be perfect. So, like, this year, Brad Sweet would be in the IROC series. How sweet would that be?
That would be pretty dope. I'm on board.
The pun there.
I like that. Well played. Yeah, more motorsports news trickling out in terms of that international stuff. And obviously a shame for SRX because they were one of the series that were trying to bring big stars to dirt racing. But we'll just have to...
We already have big stars. Just like the Osrican post. Who do you want to bring in? And that one guy said, we already have a bunch of stars here. I love it.
It is true. It is true. I think we need to be celebrating our own stars a little bit more and kind of building up their legacies more.
And like, here's a example. Like back when I first started sprint cars, like when the Americans would come in, the locals would pretty much have zero shot. Like Dustin Dag would come in and destroy us and stuff like that. And nowadays, it's not like that anymore.
No, I think we've got a lot of talent north of the border, and it needs to be celebrated and it needs to be honored while we can. So
the fact Oshweekend had Team-Az on that list of who they wanted to see come up here, like, oh, I'm like, he would get smoked. Like, I bet you he would in top 10 against us. I'm going to say it. He's not a wing guy to start with.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really a dry slick guy.
Yep.
I bet you he wouldn't do that great.
Maybe he was talking to Glenn down there and to the Chili Bowl, and that's part of the reason he made the list.
Ooh.
Little
do it.
Connecting some dots there.
Blow his doors off with my 20-foot trailer.
Soon enough, because we are approaching the start of outdoor season. It was supposed to get going tonight with the World of Outlaws late models at Volusia.
Yep.
They are rained out for tonight, was the news that I saw before we started the podcast. But hopefully they can get going tomorrow, and Speedwix is pretty much on.
Yeah, they got me Probably going to buy the Dirt Vision. I'm just going to buy the full year this year because then they got 360s there next week at Volusia that'll be on Dirt Vision. So, but oh yeah, Glenn's taking that Justin Whitall guy down there to drive the zero car.
Hmm.
I don't know about the choice in driver there.
I just feel like
I'm not gonna lie.
There's some other options that could have been
some other options.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe he'll win, but I don't know. That guy crashes a lot. And I know a lot of PA posse guys don't like that guy. I'm just gonna say it. But where are we going with this? Yeah, the start of the opening season. Yeah, so Volusia next week, 360s. Like Ryan Turner's going. All the same people are going last year. Poirier's not going this year, but like Palace is going.
Is Liam Martin going down with them? Because did he go last year? I think so. Right?
Yeah, he went last year, and I know Ryan's going.
Mm-hmm.
I think they made a post.
Yeah. So, yeah. Some local news, some local names to watch. I'm sure if you're following the Southern Ontario Sprints on their Facebook pages or anything like that, you will definitely see.
And then
the info about that. But there was some more local sprint car news, some crate sprint news, as Brent Bigelow has been tapped to drive for Mike Bowman Racing in the crates. So he'll be taking over what I assume is still going to be the 71 ride, Seaway Fluid Power MBR car. So does Brent Bigelow have a shot to make some noise in his rookie campaign in the crates at Ohsweken?
Well, in that car, you'd have to hope so. Because if you don't win in that car, people are going to say stuff you'd obviously think, no?
Well, we know it's a good piece. I mean, it challenged for the Action
Sprint Tour. It's a winning car, clearly.
Challenged for the Action Sprint Tour race or series championship last year.
Hasn't lost crate nationals.
No.
And 2 for 2.
I mean, that car won, what, $30,000 just on its own, I think, something like that, right? Plus?
Probably roughly, yeah.
So it's a good piece. So we'll see what Brent can do. I don't know. I haven't talked to him to see whether that means that he's out in terms of mod lights at Maryville on Saturday.
Nope, he's still racing. Posted, don't worry, mod light fans.
Wow.
He will still be at Maryville. So don't worry.
2 different cars. I mean, the guy is used to driving 2 different cars, sometimes in the same night, right? He was a sportsman.
I'm glad to see him in the crate because get a little bit more of a challenge for him.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Other than Sportsman, which he wasn't running the Sportsman all that much. So
no,
he's going to run this every week.
Away, so I don't know what to predict from him because I think I don't want to say that he's an automatic favorite. I kind of wonder about what Matt Billings will do. I don't think Billings could really commit.
Is he going to run Ohsweken all the time? I doubt it.
I don't think so, right? I think he'll just show up for the
I know for a fact his car owner isn't really into the whole weekly thing anymore. That's why he liked the tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
do your thing.
I mean, other than that, it's a good class of crate sprints, and Brandon is definitely going to have his hands full trying to move up through that. But you never know. The guy takes to driving pretty quickly. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what Brent can offer in that crate sprint. We got the Ransomville schedule has been officially announced. I've got it in front of me. More than a few notable events: the Dirt Car Sportsman Trail and DNA Towing Demo Derby. That is on Friday, May 31st. We've got the Empire Super Sprints coming on June 7th. We've got the Northeast Late Model Alliance, June 14th. Autograph night for the fans that want to get up close and personal with their favorite drivers from Ransomville. You got that June 21st. BRP Big Block Modified Tour is racing there June 28th, which people have tagged me in the post saying that there is an announcer position open with the BRP Big Block Modified Tour. I have to look into this because I don't know if I can do it because it's an American job. So I feel like I need a visa.
That better pay pretty dang good there, Johnny boy.
Yeah, right. And there's a lot of travel involved too. So for all those who've tagged me and said, go and do that, I will look into it. But
we live in Canada, folks.
It's kind of hard unless somebody sorts me out a visa, and I don't think visas get granted overnight. But
oh no, you wouldn't need a visa.
Wouldn't you though?
No, you're just a fan.
I guess that's true.
They don't got no
pay.
Oh, unless you're getting a check, but
yeah,
then
exactly.
You would maybe.
It'd have to be like cash. There'd have to be there's probably some workarounds, right? But well, I'll look into it for those who tagged me and said go and announce.
All I know is when you're an announcer getting paid on the books, sucks.
Yes, it
caused my retirement.
So what else did I want to point out? The Kyle Inman Sportsman Memorial, July 19th. Going go-kart exhibition, which I'm still hoping to be a part of. If anybody wants to jump on a go-kart program for the summer, I might be looking for sponsors. Am looking for sponsors, so that could be something we could partner on. But anyways, just lots of good stuff. The SOS sprints are going to be there August 16th. The whole schedule again up on Maryville,
Super Dirt Car
excuse
Series.
me, Ransmville's Speedway website and up on their socials as well. Super Dirt Car Series. I should point that
August
out.
something.
August 20th, the Ron
There it
Martin
is.
Summer Nationals with the Super Dirt Car Series.
Yep.
So
Big R. I'll probably be there for the ESS race at least. They give me the night off at the res.
yep.
Haven't seen that full schedule yet. Seen all the big dates.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out, but still some local schedules to be announced. Do you want to touch on Southern Ontario Motor Speedway closed indoors?
There you go. You just did.
Yeah, there's unfortunately not much else to say about that. And it just always sucks anytime you're losing a racetrack.
Yeah, I don't really, it was just like, was it like a handwritten note? No, it was like I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
That
It's
got
just kind
shut
of weird.
down for a while. There's been weird stuff going on that whole time. So with that track, so
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked if it came back. He says it's for sale.
there's opportunities. I mean, if
Still
somebody
could run.
is really
Like
passionate,
it said, it was he's leaving the country in the note. That was the weird part. Like just up and leaving, I guess.
yeah, is the key sitting there in the door or something? I don't know. I don't really know how that's going to how that works out, but yeah, I mean, I hope it comes back
It does
in
suck
some
to
form.
lose it. Yeah, because all the guys with like a real late model got nowhere to race now, so that's why Ashweekend put 2 late model opens. So it's like crates versus opens. So there's 2 races for those.
And it sucks too because
Guys
it
and
sounds
gals
like
up
a
there.
track was putting in some serious improvements over the last couple of years and making it better and on the way to becoming not a premier facility necessarily, but a facility worth traveling to.
He was going there. And then our buddy Joel Dick won't have a place to race, and all those UMP modified guys are just going to have to, all those people are going to have to just start going over the border like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Which, going over the border, like there's been a lot of stuff for like on Osh Weekend Post as well, like people talking about how hard it is to get over the border. If you have a normal sized truck and trailer like me, it isn't very hard. The hardest part is when you get into those giant rigs, which are clearly business looking like rigs. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's when it's hard. When you're a little guy like me with my little Dodge Ram and trailer, they just look at you and they haven't even been making me open my trailer, which is like before COVID, you would have to at least open the trailer.
Yeah.
But now they don't even do that. It's like, oh, yeah, cool. See ya.
Especially if they know it's racing.
Easiest stuff I've ever done. Yep. I did it 4 times last year, and every time was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
So much easier now. So there's that. Don't get scared away. People are so scared of the border. I hate it. Go over there. It's fun. There's so much great racing over there as well as over here. But
so we talked about a little bit in the beginning of the show, or not necessarily not necessarily on the show, but before we start recording, I should say, about bringing some more motorsport draft style segments to the show. And I kind of
my favorite part of the Soper and Brown show.
Yeah, we weren't steal it from my boys over at Hits FM, the draft. I mean, I do a draft analysis of their drafts on my radio show, which you can hear on Sundays.
So it's not stealing it. You're a part of it.
Yeah, kind of, in a way. I kind of invited myself in, but now I'm adopting it for our show. And as if they're the only ones who have ever done a draft.
Thanks, Carl and Matt.
Yeah.
All radio people copy each other nonstop anyways.
Yeah, it's called influence.
Everyone knows that.
Exactly. Yeah. But in terms of a motorsports draft, I kind of thought, we're probably not going to get another show in before the 24 Hours of Daytona start. So I thought, what if we drafted teams for, you have to put together a 4-driver lineup for a 24-hour event, but they all have to be dirt racing related drivers. So I'm going to right off the hop, put in the stipulation at least one team member has to be a local driver. And that local driver cannot be Nelson Mason, because that would be the obvious pick. If we're taking a guy from the dirt world to go and run road courses locally, that would be probably the obvious pick. So we're going to take him off the list, but he would be somebody you would probably gravitate to. So
he would have been the first pick for the local guy, clearly.
For sure. So 4 drivers from any dirt discipline, and one of them has to be a local. Do you want first pick or you want me to go?
You can go.
You're going to hate me for this pick, but I'm taking Kyle. I got to take Kyle Larson.
Yeah, sure. I guess he counts. Although he's a NASCAR guy now, but He's already ran it, man. Does that count? He's already ran it.
Do you want me to pick somebody else? You want to throw Larson out
Yeah.
too? Okay, fine. We'll throw out Larson. In that case, give me David Gravel. I'll take Gravel.
I like it. Gravel could probably adapt to anything pretty quick, especially what kind of cars we run in here? Prototypes or GT?
We'd probably have to do GT. I don't even know if these guys would qualify for GT Pro, so it'd be like the GT, whatever that amateur
I can't
GT
do
class is.
there's so many classes now I can't do it.
I know. Because
Back in the day when it was prototypes and GT, there was 2 classes.
yeah.
Fix that. Daytona, 24 hours. But so yeah, Gravel first pick for you. I'm going Max McLaughlin.
Ooh.
We forgot to say that he hit the wall in testing last night, his first night in a late model, but he's won in a road course in a K&N car. So
yeah, it's a good pick. I like that pick. I'm gonna go. I want to take. Oh, this is tough. I'm gonna take Brad Sweet. I think Sweet can do it.
oof, that's like, oh no, he's got truck and stuff. So he's been on. Yeah, I like it. He's got NASCAR.
I think he could adapt. I think he's another one of those guys that, if you give him, not that they get a ton of practice time, but if assuming they got to do the roar before and all that, it's 25 laps of practice time, some sim time. I think he could adapt.
Mm-hmm. Now, that NASCAR thing made me think Rico, but I'm not going Rico because he was pretty terrible in NASCAR. Let's be honest. Now, here's one. Here's a guy with some pavement experience that most people didn't know about. I didn't even know about it as well, but this guy had a bunch of ASA starts, and he ran ASA, and his first part of his career was pavement. I'm going Jonathan Davenport.
Ooh, good pick. Good pick.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was all asphalt to start his career.
Mm-hmm. All right, you got to take a local guy here. I think I want to get that out of the way. If I'm gonna take a local guy, I think I want to take. Oh,
I hope you don't pick the guy I'm thinking.
I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm gonna take. I think I'm gonna take Cody McPherson. For whatever reason, I feel like Cody could get in a sports car and wheel. I don't know why.
Okay, so we're going for the local. I'm going Mac DeMann, who literally comes from a road racing.
Oh no, that's a good pick.
And he literally only runs road courses on iRacing. So.
Oh.
And his dad was in the Trans Am series back in the day. Literally, if you go watch the 1988 or one of them Niagara Falls race, Pete DeMann or whatever his dad's first name is in that race.
I was gonna take Stuart Friesen, but I don't know if he counted enough for local.
And
I also kind of thought maybe he wouldn't count because he's mostly a NASCAR guy.
Yeah, that's pretty cheap now.
No, I will say I'm not going to pick this guy, but another guy that kind of gets around this whole hack is you could take Casey Kane.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to.
He's probably ran it already too. He must have to practice road course.
I don't know if he has because
didn't all the Hendrick guys run that?
I don't know because he was Dodge for so long in his career, and I don't think Dodge really had. I mean, there was the Viper program, but I don't think they.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Right.
I feel like Kane never got a chance to run it for some reason. One more dirt affiliated guy, eh? See, then the other thing I kind of screwed up is I feel like Brad Sweet and David Gravel are kind of shorter, and I feel like Cody's tall, so I think that would mess up the seat kind of thing.
Oh, you're thinking too hard.
I'm thinking too hard about it, right? You gotta think of a line.
That doesn't matter because you would just have the seat back for him. Like his insert would be farther back, and then the other 2 inserts would have to be just brought forward.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have the pillow or whatever, right? Oh man, I don't know who else. I keep thinking I want to take sprint car guys, but I think that's not the right play. I think you got to go with. I feel like you got to take Shepard. I feel like I want Matt Shepard.
He's smooth,
right? I think
you need smoothness in those cars.
I think Shepard might be a good play in that one. I think he's really good at what he does in the modifieds. I feel like he's jumped into enough different seats. He's buddies with Ross Chastain. I'm sure Chastain's run that race before, maybe, so he can lean on him for a little bit of advice. But Yeah, I'll take Matt Shepard.
Okay. Last one.
Last pick, and it's wide open for you here. You really got a lot of options on the table.
I know. Well, this would have been cheap for the local pick, but it's not cheap just to draft him onto your team. Stuart Friesen.
I just okay.
You were going to take him for the local pick.
I know.
You can't. Well, you want him, you can have him. But that's good. He's raced road courses. He's good in different cars. Like, he's one of the best. Like, he almost
really
Larson.
good.
Like, he's not Larson. Like, he's sprint car, modified, truck.
It's a good pick.
He's won in TQ midget.
It's a good
So
pick.
yeah, he's got the versatility.
Well, dang.
It was only cheap as a local pick.
All right, fine. That's fine. I should have taken him in there. That's my bad. Either way, recapping, I've got a driver lineup of David Gravel, Brad Sweet, Cody McPherson, and Matt Shepard. You've got Max McLaughlin, Jonathan Davenport, Mac DeMann, and Stuart Friesen as your lineup for the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. I don't know how they would do.
I think my team's got you.
This is where I wish like Sim Sports was a little bit more like, you know how you can do like in EA Sports like Sim a season in like the NHL or like NHL 23 or whatever, or 24. I feel like we could do that. I wish we could do that with iRacing. Like you could put like whatever driver with their attributes into an iRacing setup and just see how they do. But I think that would be kind of cool. But
yeah, so there you go.
There you go.
The Dirt Daytona draft. 24-hour Daytona draft.
Yes, I like that. More drafts coming. If you've got a topic that you want drafted, you can let us know on social media at SODS.
It's got to be dirt track related.
Pod. Yes, of course. At dirt
or racetrack.
Yeah, it could be. We've been
short
talking
track.
about.
Let's go short tracks. I don't need wine and cheese racing questions.
Yeah. Well, we also
I call road racing wine and cheese racing. Sorry, guys and girls.
Well, I was gonna say we were talking about doing a draft of food, best food at racetracks, track food. So that is one.
We're definitely doing that one, just not today.
Yeah, I think we should save that for when racing season's actually going to start locally. But yeah, if you got a topic for us, you can let us know on social media at SODS_pod. And when we were Southern Ontario Dirt Show at gmail.com as well as where you can send emails to us. So appreciate everybody listening again this week. Again, we are in the off season of kind of local stuff. So we're going to do these podcasts every couple weeks until we get something major. If we get any breaking news in between that, we'll do some podcasts on that too. Again, thanks for following the show. Like, rate, review, subscribe. All that stuff really matters in terms of, us moving up in the podcast world. I would really appreciate it. There's some other podcasts I've heard where they're saying, send this podcast to 3 friends. If your friends are dirt fans locally here in Southern Ontario and they're not listening to this show, you absolutely need to send them this podcast, and you absolutely need to tell us what you want to hear more of and what you want to hear less of. Before we go, I will also say Monday nights, if you're missing racing action, tune in to the BRP TV iRacing series over on YouTube. Travis has been racing. I've been on the call. It's been a blast. You can catch up on the whole season on YouTube right now. You can go back and watch the races. You can watch pretty much an entire race night in like an hour, give or take. So make sure you're watching that sort of stuff. And I think we're going to have one of the drivers who's been dominating it, Cody Higbee, on the show in the coming weeks. So watch for that. And we will talk to you next time on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.